Good afternoon, good evening, everybody around Australia watching the severe thunderstorm coverage across Southeast Queensland. We are live once again in regards to this extremely dangerous severe thunderstorm outbreak, this extremely dangerous severe thunderstorm warning that we have across locations in Southeast Queensland. This is a serious threat to lives and to property, and we are expecting to be continuing with this live coverage for a long time, as there is a lot of thunderstorms to talk about, including severe thunderstorms now that have developed into the Brisbane city area. We've got this massive thunderstorm that we were tracking about half an hour ago that's moved through into the Lockyer National Park. It is now beginning to ease off a little bit, but this extremely powerful supercell thunderstorm is now moving in towards Esk, and I would like to start this stream by saying if you live in Esk, make sure you are ready for severe thunderstorm activity. It is imminent. Hunker down, get into your safe spot. There is some large and potentially giant hailstones coming into the Esk region right now. We've got these readings on the radar imagery here around that 40, 50, 60, 70 decibels even in a few spots. There's a lot of lightning activity associated with this significant severe thunderstorm as well. Esk, you have a severe thunderstorm situation imminent, and you need to be in your safe spot right now, hunkering down from this severe thunderstorm. We've also got a strong thunderstorm, as we expected, moving into the Strathpine area, about to move into Redcliffe and out towards Deception Bay and Bramble Bay. Make sure you are ready for severe thunderstorm activity out there as well. Lots of small hailstones are expected, potentially some large hailstones in spots as well, as this storm moves over the Brisbane CBD and into the northern suburbs of Brisbane. Most of the severe stuff happening across the northern suburbs, but even clipping the southern suburbs south of the Brisbane River, and then eventually moving in towards the Manly area and the Wynham area as well, around the Brisbane Harbour and the Brisbane Airport area, which is expected to be impacted imminently. So we have some pretty significant severe thunderstorm coverage to do around Southeast Queensland, and a strong thunderstorm now developing over the border around Urbanville in towards northeastern New South Wales, and the first of many severe thunderstorms across a wide section of Southeast Queensland already moving through. We've also got powerful thunderstorms beginning to develop further inland as well, and significant severe thunderstorm potential lying ahead for these locations around Chinchilla, Tara, which is about to be imminently impacted, and then out towards Cecil Plains, eventually Toowoomba later as well. Lewis Smith, thank you for that generous donation as well. Back with the live coverage, and we're going to be live until this thunderstorm risk begins to diminish, which is not going to be for a long time. I can guarantee that. If you are brand new to the channel, of course, please do consider subscribing, and also leave a like on the stream whilst at it. You shoot us a question in the super chat as well. But yeah, lots and lots of reports of this thunderstorm being extremely strong through a lot of locations. DJ Inferno, thank you for that generous tip, $5. Lots of lightning and heavy rain, small hail in Kermside West, so that would be obviously north of the Brisbane River, and yeah, plenty of significant severe thunderstorm conditions occurring up there. Like I said, nothing in the way of giant hailstones like we've seen across other parts of Southeast Queensland today, but we're looking at some pretty big accumulations of small hailstones. Esk, strong accumulations or strong signals of large accumulations of giant hailstones possible into the Esk area, and this thunderstorm is now moving over Esk right now as we speak through the Wivenhoe area. There is a lot of risk to the Esk city, the Esk town area, and then this will carry up through the northern parts of the Brisbane River around Wivenhoe Dam, and then out towards eventually the Stanley River and into the Diagla National Park eventually, where it will likely begin to weaken off. Now, the thing with supercells is they can last for a long time. This thunderstorm here could cross the Brisbane River and out towards the Diagla National Park, and it could eventually end up around Kilcoy or Woodford. The general track of this severe thunderstorm is off in this direction here, but it also throws Kilcoy and eventually Mount Mee and Woodford in the possible firing line for some large, potentially giant hailstones. So we do need to be watching that very closely, and pretty much everywhere through the Wivenhoe area we could be looking at some pretty significant potential impacts as a result of these thunderstorms as they blow through. So again, we really need to be watching out for Kilcoy, Woodford, and then eventually off towards Beerwah and then around Beerburrum as well. Some significant severe thunderstorm potential up there. This supercell thunderstorm has been with us for a long time. It dropped some massive hailstones on its passage through Clifton and Elora, and it is well on the way to becoming one of the longest tracked severe thunderstorms that we've seen across Southeast Queensland throughout the course of this outbreak. It really is A significant one. Is Brisbane finished after these thunderstorms move through? No, Brisbane are just getting started. These significant severe thunderstorms are going to persist late into the night, and for the Brisbane area, we're expecting a lot more severe thunderstorm activity to occur. Even Barker, thank you for becoming a channel sponsor. That is massively appreciated. But yeah, a good line moving through the Brisbane area. It's not warned for severe thunderstorms right now, or not warned as a very dangerous severe thunderstorm. It could get that tag because it does have some pretty significant hailstones in it, and a lot of accumulations of small hailstones are expected. But this very dangerous thunderstorm here, which is moving into the Lockyer and the Somerset area, or moving out of the Lockyer Valley and into the Somerset region, this one here, very dangerous, now throwing out some giant hailstones into the Esk area. And again, we have been requested to use the standard emergency warning signal as we transmit these messages. This is a very dangerous, potentially life-threatening situation for people in the path of this very dangerous thunderstorm, or very dangerous tagged thunderstorm around the Esk area. This is a serious situation, and for those in Esk, you need to act now, hunker down to protect your life. This is just extreme stuff that's moving into the area right now. Like I said, decibel readings coming back at about 70. That's some very significant feedback here, telling us that we have giant hailstones in the area. Thank you so much for the generous donation there, and thank you so much, Alistair, for another generous donation too. Thank you so much to everybody who has been watching, tuning in, and subscribed throughout the course of these streams. This is live. This is not a pre-recording, of course, because we're tracking these thunderstorms live, but this is live coverage on this afternoon's severe thunderstorm outbreak and supercells that are going to be moving around the Brisbane area. We're going to be live tracking the duration of this massive thunderstorm outbreak across Southeast Queensland. We've got a lot of thunderstorm activity as well, a lot further inland, so Tara is kind of threading the needle between some strong thunderstorms right now. We do have a couple of strong thunderstorms south of Tara. These ones here coming back with a lot of small hailstones by the looks of things, and then a couple of these thunderstorms here, so out around Yuleeba and Jackson, we've got some pretty significant decibel readings here, pretty significant reflectivity readings. We may be talking about a large hail risk in these thunderstorms too, not to mention the large hailstones that are occurring out in this part of Queensland towards the east of Tambo and the west of Rolleston. We could be seeing some large hailstones out there, and even some strong thunderstorms developing a little bit further north, right up towards Charters Towers. And you can see it is a very stormy picture through northern Queensland, or right up towards northern Queensland and through northeastern New South Wales. Lots of strong thunderstorm activity here, there, and everywhere. If you've got any questions, send them through, and I'll do my best to get back to all of them. This is really serious thunderstorm stuff, and some pretty significant impacts are going to happen as a result. I mean, we've already seen giant hailstones occurring in the Clifton area. Massive hailstones reported there, 9 centimeters in diameter as that thunderstorm moved through Clifton, and it's still likely got relatively similar sized hailstones as well as it moves through these locations. It is an extremely powerful thunderstorm as it crosses in or around the Esk area. And again, just looking at those Doppler wind readings, it's still got some pretty significant rotation as well as it races through those locations. At the Gatton, or at the University of Queensland Gatton Observation Centre, nothing in the way of crazy wind gusts, and they didn't pick up that much rainfall, 7 or 8 millimeters in about 15 minutes or so. So it's nothing crazy, but they were out of the thick of things. If we do have any other observations, or if people have actually reported observations in certain areas, and please do let me know as well. These thunderstorms are very powerful indeed, and they are packing a significant punch to the areas that they impact. Like I said, Esk now right over that, right under that significant hail core, which is going to begin to ease off in the next few moments. Thank you so much, Katie Black, for the generous donation, and Drew B. Is it likely that these areas could be hit by 2 cells? Multiple cells of thunderstorms are expected to come throughout the course of today. Some really big thunderstorms are expected, and they're going to be very widespread and very frequent throughout the course of today as well. So yeah, multiple places are going to pick up multiple rounds of thunderstorms, and that will also include the Brisbane area as well, which has picked up nearly 10 millimeters of rainfall so far from these thunderstorms. Thank you so much for the tip and the kind words, Kay. Much appreciated. But yeah, round 2 is brewing, and it is brewing quickly out towards the west. Big thunderstorms developing out here, and supercell activity is beginning to ramp up once again through the Central Highlands, Maranoa, Warrego, and down into the Darling Downs and Granite Belt. Very dangerous thunderstorms, which will produce large, possibly giant hailstones, locally destructive winds, and heavy rainfall is going to occur over the next several hours in southeastern Queensland and through parts of the Wide Bay and Central Highlands and coalfields and out and towards the Central West. It's an extreme thunderstorm outbreak, that is for sure. There are some very, very strong storm systems. We've just looked at that one there. We want to look at the one that is coming through close. I don't know why. Oh, that's the tropical cyclone warning thing. I don't know why that was associated with that. But yeah, very significant thunderstorm moving over Esk right now, and we're likely to see some pretty significant hail occur in the Esk area as a result. The worst of it has passed just towards the east of Esk. But still, I mean, that was an extremely dense hail core, and we had some pretty significant, well, we've likely seen some pretty significant hail in the Esk area as a result. Not to mention, we're likely to see some large hailstones occurring into the Brisbane River and northern parts of the Lake Wivenhoe area. Is Cleveland in the firing line of hail? Everywhere in southeast Queensland is in the firing line for hail until about 10 or 11 o'clock later tonight. There is a lot of storms that are expected, and yeah, we are looking at a lot of hail, a lot of damaging winds, a lot of significant storm impacts. And also through Brisbane right now, we've got some pretty intense reflectivity readings up to 70 decibels, even through parts of South Redcliffe, some pretty intense rain rates developing through there. Brisbane City as well, significant rain rates developing in those areas. Strathpine, significant rain rates. All of these locations seeing a significant or a substantial accumulation of hail at this point in time. None of it looks to be overly large, and I don't think we're going to see giant hailstones into the Brisbane area just yet, but there's been lots of rainfall very quickly, a very quick dump of rainfall, I should say, and you can see it's kind of really messed up a lot of the webcam footage, unfortunately. But yeah, this thunderstorm activity now beginning to push out into the Moreton Bay area. Still some very heavy stuff along the coast and into the Brisbane airport, and that's likely to close down the airport if it hasn't already. Then that'll eventually move out into the Moreton Bay region as well. We may see some waterspouts out into the Moreton Bay area too, so that will be worth a watch in the coming few hours. Of course, if you are brand new to the channel, please do consider subscribing and also leave a like on the video while you're at it as well, or on the stream. Massively appreciated all of the support in the last, or as we have been streaming and providing this live coverage. It's really, really appreciated. So again, thank you to everybody that has tuned in. And of course, questions, comments, welcome in the chat. And thank you to Malcolm White for becoming a channel sponsor. Small hail in Redcliffe, yep. Hailstones in this part of Queensland, so through the northern suburbs of Brisbane, are likely to only amount to about 2 centimetres. I don't think we're going to see anything larger than that, at least from this cell right now. But we will see some larger hailstones much later on today as the severe thunderstorm threat slowly begins to ramp up, or as it is apparent a little bit further inland, quickly begins to ramp up. These thunderstorms here now beginning to move over the Esk area and moving away from Esk, so we will see the threat there slowly begin to diminish off. But wow, it has been a hectic one, that is for sure. Now, we haven't had any confirmed reports of tornado activity just yet. About what I expected. A tornado was always going to be a bit of a long shot today, even though the conditions are just so favourable. It is just very difficult for tornadoes to develop, even in Queensland at this time of the year. But we have seen some very significant tornado fuel, and whilst we haven't seen tornadoes yet, they still remain possible. So we will have to keep a close watch on things. They are still possible, and we'll keep an eye out on rotating thunderstorms in the next few hours, because they all could produce some tornado activity. Yeah, the Esk thunderstorm is still quite strong, still a significant hail core within the Esk thunderstorm, and it is now moving off in towards this direction here. So Kilcoy will be next, and I'll keep you posted on what you need to be doing in order to protect yourself from large, potentially giant hailstones in the Kilcoy area. But this line of thunderstorms here into the Brisbane City area, apart from the strong storms now just between Caboolture and Brisbane over the Strathpine area, are now beginning to push out into the Moreton Bay area, and we will see a reduction in storm severity and precipitation rates in the next 15 minutes or so. Thank you, Troy Connolly, for that kind donation and the nice words. Plenty of good rain in Brisbane. Oh yeah, so tornadoes are very, very likely to occur today. They are practically guaranteed considering the conditions. However, again, we haven't seen one yet, but the best chance for tornado activity is going to be in the next couple of hours, developing from these supercell thunderstorms so far out in Queensland. And I would just like to say that today so far, we have had some very strong storm activity, but we've only had about 3 or 4 significant cells, and kind of the one that's moved through Clifton, this one here, as it pushes off in towards the north. This cell here has kind of stolen the show. It's really been in the limelight throughout the course of today, this Clifton cell here, which is now moving through the Esk area. This is the really powerful severe thunderstorm that's dropped that 9cm hailstones, but that's kind of been the only very dangerous severe thunderstorm so far today. We still have a couple of strong thunderstorms that we're watching close to the New South Wales Queensland border, but it's going to be once these thunderstorms get into the areas just towards the west of Toowoomba and up towards Chinchilla and Miles, which they're about to do so, where we are expecting a good chance of significant severe thunderstorms out here. So this will be very, very close to watch. So Toowoomba, you are still in the firing line. Plenty of thunderstorms developing further south as well, and we're beginning to see very solid thunderstorm activity developing through here, which is what we want to see a continuance in the chances for very strong severe thunderstorms and supercells. Not what we want to see for some of the more populated areas in the way of these thunderstorms. Do I think that they'll shut the Brisbane airport? It's very possible. With an event like this and the amount of precipitation and rainfall coming through, planes will definitely be delayed, and if not, they will shut the airport for a brief period of time. But these thunderstorms moving over pretty quickly, so they won't be down for too long, I would imagine. Tornadic supercells are possible up into the Sunshine Coast. They're not as likely, but we will be seeing these thunderstorms later tonight upscaling into those big squall lines, which will then push across into the Sunshine Coast, and they could have embedded supercells within them, which obviously means the chance, not the guarantee, of tornado activity. So we will, of course, be watching that closely. Caboolture will be hit. Probably not the next hour for Toowoomba, but we are going to see a lot of thunderstorm activity very soon begin to develop just towards the southwest of Toowoomba here. So Toowoomba being right here, we are expecting a lot of thunderstorm activity in the next hour or so to begin developing in this region, as we have seen a little bit further inland here, out around Dalby, Chinchilla, Miles, and then out towards Yuliba, where a very strong thunderstorm is moving through in that area. But for the most part, we will be seeing this activity start in the next hour or two, not right now. Gladstone, whenabouts is your photo shoot? And of course, for any external forecasting needs, make sure to send me an email as well, link in the channel description, and I can help you out and sort you out on a recurring basis over there. Just super, super potent thunderstorm activity. This Yuliba one is starting to catch my eye. It's a very, very big, dense kind of cluster of a thunderstorm. If it's multicellular, that wouldn't surprise me, but moving off in this northeasterly trajectory, it's definitely got some pretty intense precipitation rates within it. We're looking at rates here around the 70 decibels type mark, or getting close to 70 decibels, so large, potentially giant hailstones possible. That is occurring in this thunderstorm here outside of Yuliba, just towards the west of Jackson and Dalaka. We'll have to keep an eye on this cell here. If we're going to see powerful supercell activity, these are the cells that are going to do it. Melly Ray, thank you so much for that, or Melly Rai rather, thank you so much for that lovely, lovely donation. That's massively appreciated, so thank you very, very kindly for that. Of course, a bit further south, we do have strong cells also beginning to develop, and it looks like supercell thunderstorm activity is beginning to get itself going in these parts as well. Don't quite have an update on these thunderstorms here through the Brisbane area, but still a very dangerous thunderstorm out there. And in terms of the warning area, we've now been tagged as very dangerous once again inland from Toowoomba, including Dalby, Kingaroy, Roma, and this is for very dangerous thunderstorms, possibly giant hailstones, damaging locally destructive winds. And again, the Bureau of Meteorology has advised that we should be using the standard emergency procedure for these very destructive severe thunderstorms that are occurring out here. They're stating that in their warning. So this is for these thunderstorms that are now beginning to develop through here. They have been labelled as potentially very dangerous as they continue to develop. So we will need to keep very close tabs on these developing storms out here. Yeah, a lot of these cells very powerful, especially that Uliba one. That is one that's caught my eye, and that's likely to get quite a lot stronger as well. Tara has sort of threaded the needle. The Cecil Plains cell looks like Cecil Plains is going to be in the firing line. Same with Dolby in the next 15 to 30 minutes or so, respectively. So we will need to keep tabs on that. Esk now in the all clear from the powerful thunderstorms that have blown through those areas. It looks like this thunderstorm here, the supercell that dropped those nearly 10 centimetre hailstones, is now on the way out. Thank you so much, Central Queensland Weather Watch. I've been following your stuff very closely, and your forecasts as well have been extremely helpful in the production of mine, and also for a lot of other people as well. Actually, your name was thrown up in a conversation I had with someone concerned about the thunderstorms this morning, so hats off to you guys, or whoever is running the Central Queensland Weather Watch page. North Brisbane expected to get more dangerous storms later this evening for sure. We are looking at dangerous thunderstorms, particularly towards the north of Brisbane, actually. We have a pretty significant chance of potentially very dangerous and strong severe thunderstorm activity in this area, but likely when we see these thunderstorms begin to push in later tonight and upscaling into that squall line, we'll see these squally thunderstorms with embedded supercells pushing right through the Brisbane metro area. But like I said, especially into that northern Brisbane metro area looks to be a possibility. Brent Taylor, thank you for becoming a channel sponsor, and thank you everybody for all of the kind words in the chat right now. South Gold Coast area, where we have had some nice rainfall down there, that's now beginning to push offshore. You can see this rainfall and associated with this thunderstorm now beginning to push offshore from the Gold Coast area. But we are still looking at the chance of thunderstorms developing, and as these thunderstorms begin to push further inland as well, we'll likely see further multicellular thunderstorms, even supercellular thunderstorms developing in this area here through the scenic rim, which will eventually go on into the Gold Coast, and something that we need to watch quite closely. I don't know why that keeps happening. Yeah, further inland, these are storms that we need to keep close tabs on. Very strong thunderstorms occurring out there. Even the ones outside of Coffs Harbour as well. We're now seeing a line of thunderstorms here developing just from the north of Tamworth right up to the northern areas of Coffs Harbour, including multiple strong storms, one south of Armidale, one towards the southwest of Armidale, one north of, or a couple actually north of Ebor, one north of Dorrigo, and then the big one, a likely very strong supercell thunderstorm between Coffs Harbour and Grafton. The general trajectory for these thunderstorms looks to take them towards the coast, kind of along that line, but they are beginning to expand further towards the north as well. So I would say that anyone within this kind of outline that I'm putting right now can expect significant severe thunderstorm potential, and that will include Grafton, potentially Coffs Harbour. On the rainfall side of things, we'll be seeing some significant stuff, and then also for Woolly, Murney Water, Courts Crossing, a lot of these locations through here, of which the pronunciation I am sure to butcher. I've got two more in the fridge. Beer o'clock soon, no beer. After these storms are done, we need to be alert and awake for these thunderstorms that are moving through southeast Queensland. Multiple aircraft circling, yeah, I'd expect that with these thunderstorms and these precipitation rates around the Brisbane airport. Whilst they are now about to get better and the rainfall is beginning to ease off, we will see a significant reduction in the severity of storms around the Brisbane city area, at least for a brief period of time. Womerun, get much of this storm? Whereabouts is that? Is that south or north of Brisbane? I might keep the beer for tomorrow night. Oh, will I? I told you I would butcher all of those pronunciations. No, this is not an outbreak to be calling a fizzer. If you haven't seen thunderstorms so far, it's because the thunderstorms haven't been forecast to start yet. This outbreak has played completely into the forecast. We know exactly we knew exactly what was going to happen, and it has lived up to its name, to what it was hyped up to be. And this is definitely going to go down as one of the most substantial and significant severe thunderstorm outbreaks in southeast Queensland history. And I know that sounds extreme, that sounds absolutely crazy, but it is true. That is what we are expecting from these severe thunderstorms. They are just that strong, that significant, and we need to really keep close tabs on what's going on, because some significant stuff is moving through. Little Doom, thank you for that generous donation as well. Very much appreciated. Yeah, so not everywhere is seeing the worst of these severe thunderstorms. The thunderstorms in the Brisbane area are very weak in comparison to what we're seeing a lot further inland. In the Brisbane city area, these have just been run-of-the-mill, non-severe thunderstorms. Even the severe thunderstorm warning in the Brisbane CBD area, I thought was quite overkill from that thunderstorm. The one further inland is still very dangerous, and that warning still stands. But a lot of small hailstones in the Brisbane area. Nothing too crazy, but the ones further inland are very significant indeed. I'm going to stop when the last cell becomes non-severe, whether that includes another 2 or 3 more streams and a couple more breaks, or stopping when the storms die off. We're here all day on one of the most significant severe thunderstorm days Southeast Queensland has seen in the last decade, and I've promised everyone the coverage. We're going to deliver, or I'm going to deliver. Plenty more time to put those questions in. It's not finished. These storms are just not finished, so anybody that is saying that these storms are finished, they're just not. I mean, they're already beginning to develop once again. We're seeing a strong cell beginning to get its act together around the Clifton area. Powerful thunderstorms beginning to develop once again. Keep in mind, these are the areas that have just been blasted, and I say that with a lot of emphasis. These are the areas that have just been blasted by 9-centimeter hailstones. 9 centimeters. That is a beer can. That's a candle coming at you. That's softball-sized hail, bigger than softball-sized hail. I'm trying to think of a fair comparison, but it is huge hailstones that are coming down. Very significant hailstones. Extremely dangerous situation. And that's what's occurred, and we're seeing more thunderstorms now beginning to develop in those areas. So not good news for those locations. Strong storms as well developing towards the east of Cecil Plains. That strong supercell around Wollongong still holding strong. And then strong storms as well now beginning to develop over the border here outside of Moree and Ashford in the northern half of New South Wales. So it's just getting started this afternoon and this evening. Conditions are going to continue. Thunderstorms are going to continue developing, and we're going to see more and more of them as the night pushes on. Well, as the afternoon pushes on, because it's nowhere near nightfall just yet. Yeah, Gold Coast will get hit later tonight. Everything is the... this is the warm-up. The thunderstorms that we've seen so far are the warm-up. It's just such a convectively favourable day that we're going to see thunderstorm after thunderstorm after thunderstorm, significant outbreak after significant outbreak after significant outbreak. So, yeah, it's just going to keep on coming. There's going to be more and more and more, and we're showing no signs of stopping just yet. And you can see a lot of these storms now beginning to make the most of the extreme moisture through southeast Queensland. A lot of convection now down here, and a lot developing. A lot more developing thunderstorms, a lot more developing convection, which means that these thunderstorms are now beginning the early stages of upscaling. Yeah, the big event is happening, or it's not happening right now, but it is going to be happening in the next 2 or 3 hours or so. And then for southeast Queensland, along the southeast coast, the big event, which is that squall line with embedded supercells later, will happen later tonight. Is that storm that's hitting Esk coming for Caloundra? I'll get to that in just a second. Josie Barker, thank you for that generous donation. But yeah, for Caloundra, this Esk cell, if we were to extrapolate it, or extrapolate its forward motion, it looks like it is going to be heading towards the north of Caloundra, up towards Maroochydore. And I would just say that pretty much everywhere in this line here is in the so-called line of fire, which would include Caloundra and Maroochydore as well. We could be seeing hail in this corridor here, and then eventually up towards Noosa. But the thing is, this thunderstorm looks like it's on the way out. It's already showing signs of weakening, so it's likely to be downgraded to just a severe thunderstorm, not a very dangerous one by the time it gets to Kilcoy over the ranges from Caboolture, and then by the time it gets itself to the Sunshine Coast, it's likely to join up with this Brisbane cell here, and we will see a significant weakening in the storm, but also this storm here beginning to upscale into just a squall line with some heavy rainfall, small hailstones damaging to locally destructive winds. Nothing special, what we would call the usual. So by the time it gets itself up to Caloundra, it is likely to be weaker, but we're going to have to keep close tabs on it because this thunderstorm has outperformed every single expectation I've had so far. Annie G, thank you for the kind words and the generous donation as well. Yeah, it's a big one. This is a big, big outbreak, and it has lived up to every expectation and every bit of hype that we had for it. Well, there wasn't any hype, it was just truth-telling it was, basically. So this Clifton cell here is one to watch. Hey, Aaron, Welcome to channel sponsor. Thank you so much for becoming a channel sponsor, and welcome. I'll put your name at the end of every forecast update. I'll guarantee it's not going to be a fizzer. I mean, of course, that comes down to your personal definition of a fizzer, and if you're looking for these thunderstorms to not impact your location, like obviously, if you're out in southwestern Queensland, then yeah, this is a non-event for you, but it was never forecast to be one. But in terms of if this is going to live up to its expectations, 100%. It already has exceeded expectations, this outbreak. And as long as we see a tornado, which is highly likely, every single criteria for a monster severe outbreak would have been met at that point in time. So yeah, this is a serious severe thunderstorm outbreak, and yeah, it is something that has a lot of people very rightfully concerned. Destructive winds. I mean, embedded in those supercell thunderstorms, we've had gusts up to 125 kilometers an hour so far, confirmed gusts to 125 kilometers an hour. So the one that went through Clifton, big gusts there, lots of damage to the trees up towards the east of Toowoomba and the west of Gatton, through here where this thunderstorm moved through. So where these severe thunderstorms have moved through, we've had some very serious wind gusts. But yeah, in terms of these more non-severe thunderstorms, such as the one moving through Strathpine and Caboolture and moving through the Brisbane area, it was just a bit of a lightning show with some moderate rainfall through it. This thunderstorm here was non-severe. Well, it was severe thunderstorm warned at some point in time because it did have a lot of hail and some heavy precipitation in it, but it was, for the most part, not a crazy or a dangerous severe thunderstorm. So not really a storm that was worth worrying about, and that's why we didn't give it too much in the way of airtime here. I would like to say a massive thank you to everybody that has tuned in so far. Still a lot of thunderstorms still to come. We're really starting to see these thunderstorms up here begin to get themselves going as well. Now, do we have an update to the Southeast Queensland severe thunderstorm warning? Not quite yet. But yeah, that is still a very dangerous thunderstorm around the Esk area. I'm keen to know how big the hailstones got in the Esk area, because they likely were around that 5 centimetre mark. They were huge. It's beginning to weaken off now. The Marburg radar is suggesting that this thunderstorm is beginning to ease off. It also looks like it's falling apart a little bit on the Brisbane radar as well. Now, I would just like to stop this on the latest frame. We've got a significant development now in the northeastern New South Wales thunderstorm. This one here that's moved through Urbanville. Now, this thunderstorm here is moving on a collision course for the Tamborine Mountain area. We've also got thunderstorms out here, like I said, around Elora and Warwick. These ones are also moving in that direction. These thunderstorms here are moving away. We are likely to see thunderstorms now begin to develop around the Boonah and the Bow Desert area in the next 20 to 30 minutes or so. And this is our supercell risk coming in towards Southeast Queensland through Brisbane. So this is something that we need to watch very closely very soon. Katrina, thank you for becoming a channel sponsor. Josie Barker, thank you for being a channel sponsor as well. And thank you so much, big fella, I love the name, for the kind words and the generous donation. Yep, good to be prepared on the Gold Coast. It's always better to be prepared in situations like this. Ahead of these thunderstorms that are coming through, there are some strong ones that are in the making, and again, as we know, thunderstorms and the situation can change on a dime, so we need to watch out very closely. Really strong winds and heavy rain in Caboolture. With that thunderstorm moving through, plenty of rainfall has fallen up there, and again, I imagine you've seen some reasonably heavy rainfall as well in a few spots around the Caboolture area. I wonder if we've got any observations. Yeah, so 11 millimeters at the airport, and we had peak wind gusts up to 46 kilometers an hour. Again, nothing crazy or insane, but at this point in time, that is the most severe stuff that we've seen in Brisbane. There's no point in being worried right now about these thunderstorms. I mean, they are going to happen. They're inevitable for the Ipswich area especially. We're now beginning to see them push onto the local Brisbane radar as well. And this is a thunderstorm here that's now developing outside of Clifton that we're going to have to keep close tabs on. It's either going to breathe in and out for a little bit, or it's going to become a very strong thunderstorm very quickly. And I think the latter of which is what this thunderstorm is shaping up to be. So we're going to be watching this general area anywhere further south of this line here. So through here, we're going to be watching this area for developing thunderstorms very soon, because if thunderstorms develop here, they're going to move straight into the Brisbane, Ipswich, Harrisville, Bow Desert, Boonah, Jimboomba, Logan City, and then eventually Redland City area, and throw all of these areas under a severe thunderstorm warning. So we'll need to keep close tabs on those areas. there could be some pretty nasty stuff. There could be some nasty conditions within some of those thunderstorms, so we will need to keep watching them very, very closely. If you haven't already, of course, please do consider subscribing and leave a like on the stream as well. Much appreciation to everybody that has been a part of the stream so far. Strong thunderstorms over the border as well into the northeast of New South Wales, inland from Woolgoolga. I did not say that correctly. Wooleye as well. We've got some strong thunderstorms now beginning to develop there. Likely hail causing a few of these cells here. 65, pushing 70 decibels in a few spots. Significant hail likely falling in those areas. Tambourine Mountain, yeah, so for Tambourine Mountain, we do have a building chance of thunderstorm activity in those area, or in that area as well. This thunderstorm here that's moved across into the Woodinbong area is now moving on that kind of north easterly trajectory. Now with Tambourine Mountain being off the top of my head, I believe it's around here, it does throw Tambourine Mountain kind of in the path of possibility for this severe thunderstorm if it was to get itself up there. So we will have to watch that, but Rathdowney definitely expecting a bit of lightning very soon. We'll have to keep close tabs on that. Northern Gold Coast also in the firing line. Katrina, thank you very much for that extremely generous donation as well. That's very, very much appreciated, and I hope that everybody is finding the information helpful and yeah, I hope that everything is good for people that are impacted. Yeah, it looks like this Clifton one's beginning to get itself going now. Over Clifton, once again, small hailstones at the very least beginning to occur. Yeah, getting close towards large hailstone territory as well. 60 decibels, we're looking at something getting quite close to 3, maybe 4 centimeters. Once again, Nobby in the firing line. It's round 2. Like I said, round 2 was coming. We had round 1 already, but round 2 now very much on the way for some of these places. And you're just looking at the Doppler wind radar to see if we can see rotation. We have rotation now in that storm approaching Rathdowney. It's now crossed the border into southern Queensland, and it's going to develop, I reckon, pretty substantially very soon. That Clifton storm has blown up from nothing. Large hailstones now developing there, and a supercell is developing. We've got defined rotation on the Doppler radar. You can see that with those winds coming towards the radar here, and then the oranges just towards the south over Clifton, away from the radar, and then with this storm here moving in this area, it throws everywhere from Gatton across to Ipswich under a potential severe thunderstorm threat. Very serious, very, very serious threat. Chance of Clifton supercell hitting Brisbane. It's likely to make it somewhere towards Brisbane. The thing with supercell thunderstorms is they last a long, long time. So we will try and get some of the latest imagery here in regards to... So this was a few moments ago with that Brisbane storm that moved through. It dropped some good showers here and there. A bit of rainfall here and there, but again, nothing crazy. And then... Yeah, so it did rain briefly for a bit of heavy rainfall, but again, nothing too crazy there. And you can see now beginning to clear up in the Brisbane area. But have a look at this. That little white spot there, that's right over the top of Clifton, Ipswich being through here, and then Harrisville being over here. This is the next supercell thunderstorm beginning to develop. We've got some low cloud moving through the Brisbane area. That'll take a little bit of the edge off the heat, that's for sure, but more thunderstorm activity is expected. And you're right, 9 centimeter hailstones did occur in Clifton. We were tracking that storm live as it went through. It was extremely, extremely dangerous. It was. Yeah, massive, massive hailstones in the Clifton area. 9 centimetres just outside of Clifton, 5 centimetres in Clifton itself. That Esk storm on its way out, it's upscaling, and it's going to join up with the Bribie Island storm as it moves out in towards Redcliffe. Not Redcliffe, yeah, around the Redcliffe area towards the north of Redcliffe up towards Bribie Island. How is that inland large supercell thunderstorm looking? Very, very healthy indeed, and thank you for the generous donation. Still looking very healthy. Lots of hailstones being thrown around in there, I would imagine. We're looking at 3 to 5 centimetres in diameter, potentially giant hailstones as well. We've got very dangerous severe thunderstorm warnings for all of these areas as well for potentially giant hailstones. I will get to the Toowoomba one in just a second. Unfortunately, I can't get through every single location at once. But yeah, I'll get to the Toowoomba one in just a hot second. But just a quick update on the Esk thunderstorm here. All clear for Esk, as we know, moving in towards Woodford now. Likely to have some heavy rainfall, potentially some small hailstones as well. But in terms of serious or severe thunderstorm, strong severe thunderstorm conditions, it is likely to be a little bit tamer up into the Woodford area. So that's a bit of good news for those locations. In terms of the rainfall around the Bribie Island area, it is quite heavy. We've definitely got some pretty intense precipitation rates falling in those locations, and we'll continue to see this heavy rainfall and potentially small hailstones for the foreseeable future until these thunderstorms move out into the Moreton Bay area. But for the most part, the worst is over for those areas, and we'll continue to see a reduction in the severity, even though those thunderstorms aren't anything too crazy. We will continue to see a reduction in the severity of those thunderstorms as time ticks on. But Toowoomba, we have a strong thunderstorm towards the northwest. So this is Toowoomba here. We've got this cell here that's beginning to develop just outside of Crow's Nest, heading towards the northwest of Crow's Nest. And we're going to see this Clifton thunderstorm as well really begin to mature and develop in the next 15 minutes. Already a strong supercell thunderstorm indicated by the Doppler radar imagery. So we're going to have to keep 2 eyes on that. That's for sure. This will eventually go on into the Gatton area as well, impacting very similar areas to what the last Clifton thunderstorm impacted, albeit a little bit further towards the east. Hopefully these mountains here do a good job at disrupting the storm, but not likely to happen. But yeah, this is a concerning thunderstorm threat now for the Clifton area, but particularly for areas ahead of Clifton, so Thornton, Laidley, Rosewood, Marburg, and then eventually on towards Ipswich. We're going to have to watch this situation extremely closely. And the Rathdowney thunderstorm as well. That's going to be one to watch and keep very close tabs on too. So 5 centimetre hailstones at Yuleeba, that thunderstorm, or that Central Queensland thunderstorm as well, is being labelled as very dangerous. And that is this thunderstorm out here. 5 centimetre hailstones, and again with this cell here being very slow moving as well, and we've likely got similar hailstones falling in the neighbouring thunderstorms as well. There's about 4 or 5 of them that are all connected up. We have some very significant conditions occurring out there. Now for all farmers in this part of Central Queensland, stay inside, get off the machinery. Big hailstones in the area. Wandoon as well, significant hailstones moving through there. We're going to have to keep close tabs on this situation. These storms are strengthening as well, so hailstones are going to get bigger. Big hailstones as well likely developing towards the southwest of Cecil Plains, and if we extrapolate their movement as well, that takes these large hailstones potentially right over the Cecil Plains area, and we could be seeing potentially giant hailstones moving into the Cecil Plains, 3 centimetres at the least, possibly getting closer to 5. With the strongest signals of significant hail occurring south of Rathdowney here, 70 decibels or up to 70 decibels, we have some pretty significant hailstones occurring down here, and we'll likely see some significant hail as this crosses in towards southern Queensland, which is going to happen very soon. In fact, it's happening right now. It also looks like that cell is weakening, so maybe we need to keep an eye on this cell here, because that might prove that information to be redundant pretty soon. Caboolture, you have a thunderstorm threat imminent in, I'm going to say, probably a conservative 20 minutes, closer to 30 minutes. Thunderstorm here now moving over Nobble Creek. Caboolture being right here. We've got the Samford Valley through here, and the extent of the suburbs basically extends towards the east of that yellow tracing, with the Wivenhoe Dam area being through here. This thunderstorm is moving pretty quickly off in towards the northeast, so it will be on Caboolture pretty soon. This will have plenty of small hailstones within it, likely some large hailstones too, for a brief period of time. But we will be seeing some significant stuff in Caboolture in about 20 minutes, but especially north of Strathpine, we will be seeing some pretty significant stuff, so we will have to keep an eye on that situation too. So for Caboolture, you have been warned, thunderstorm threat is now growing, and the risk of potentially a significant severe thunderstorm impact there is growing as well. So keep an eye on the radar over in Caboolture. Rathdowney as well, risk of a severe thunderstorm impact in 20 minutes is now there. Powerful supercell developing towards the north of Clifton. Reflectivity readings now suggesting near giant hailstones will be developing there. And then that, of course, again, throws Laidley into the thick of things for potentially significant severe thunderstorm activity. Not to mention all of the thunderstorms developing around. We've now got supercells, including a very defined hook echo developing outside of North Star here. We've got nothing crazy in the way of reflectivity on this cell here, but considering it's so far away from the radar and the amount of lightning, this could have some very large hailstones, 5 or 6 centimeters in diameter, and that will move right over North Star. So North Star in the north of New South Wales, hunker down now. Goondiwindi, monitor the situation closely. Not likely to see powerful severe thunderstorms just yet, but Goondiwindi, we will be seeing thunderstorms in that vicinity. Warwick as well now in the firing line within the next hour or so. But yeah, I would like to reiterate that none of these thunderstorms are showing signs of being fizzes right now. That Rathdownie one, ooh. That's some big numbers that are coming out here on the reflectivity reading. We've got some substantial numbers. Very dangerous thunderstorm. Warning from the Bureau of Meteorology. I would imagine that that would go for that severe thunderstorm outside of Esk. Yes, so towards the north of Esk, still throwing out some large hailstones. There we go. Very dangerous severe thunderstorm warning for the Rathdownie one. Rathdownie, about 15 minutes from now, very dangerous severe thunderstorm moving through. And that Clifton thunderstorm here, which is the one that I'm circling right now, this is also labelled as very dangerous as well. The one with the blue X, going to be labelled as very dangerous, I would imagine. The one with the blue X now beginning to develop. This throws Laidley into the warning zone in the next hour or so. We've got a strong thunderstorm as well developing northwest of Toowoomba. This could clip Toowoomba in a small capacity, but definitely looking likely to impact Crow's Nest. Very dangerous tag, like I said, on the Esk storm, which may be overkill, maybe not. We will keep an eye on that. And a very dangerous tag now moving into the scenic rim on the Rathdownie storm. That will be one to watch. And heavy rainfall, main threat here on the Caboolture cell. But also, like I said, Caboolture potentially in the firing line for impacts from this very dangerous thunderstorm. Same with Kilcoy. And then in about an hour and a half, if that thunderstorm can hold on, we may be looking at very dangerous severe thunderstorm impacts moving into the Sunshine Coast as well. 5 centimetre hailstones at Yaliba, 5 centimetres at Helidon, 5 centimetres at Nobby, 5 centimetres at Clifton. So giant hailstones left, right and centre. All of these reports here were from the one thunderstorm, like I said, up to 9 centimetres as this thunderstorm tore through these areas. And it's been going for nearly, 3 hours now. So that's what supercell thunderstorms can do. They can last for hours upon hours upon hours. And it's showing no signs of slowing down either. This thunderstorm is still really, really strong. It's still got that very dangerous tag. So, still holding on. Definitely still some large hailstones, potentially some giant hailstones within it as well. And at the very least, with these type of precipitation readings, we're talking about intense rainfall, which will lead to flash flooding. And yeah, I think Caboolture is actually going to be impacted by this now. There's more precipitation and some intense stuff that's developing just to the south of this cell. Caboolture will either be clipped by it or it will face a direct hit. So we will be watching for that. Definitely some significant impacts are possible into the Caboolture area though. So you've been warned in Caboolture. Thunderstorm risk is imminent. What a day it has been so far for these thunderstorms. What does the Doppler look like? That is a good question. We actually haven't looked at the Doppler radar for a while. So this is a great way to see what thunderstorms are supercells. And again, looking at the Rathdownie one, which is down here, obvious supercell because we've got that blue couplet here mixed in with that orange couplet that's rotating around it. And then we've got the Clifton thunderstorm, which is out here. Looks like there's some strong rotation developing in this thunderstorm here, but again, a little bit hard to tell on this because it is a long way away. The Kilcoy thunderstorm towards the northwest of Esk, we've got this rotation as well developing, so still very much a supercell thunderstorm as it moves off towards the north of Caboolture. And at the very least, it's got a very strong gust front where winds could be exceeding 125 kilometers an hour as well. So strong stuff. But apart from that, nothing in the way of severe thunderstorm in the way of the Brisbane city area right now, which is good news. But yeah, definitely Caboolture. You are in the firing line for a labelled very dangerous severe thunderstorm. Just heading out to the Marburg radar right now to have a look at the rotation on the potentially dangerous severe thunderstorm developing around Clifton. There is definitely some rotation now in this thunderstorm. It's not a very strong rotation, but as this thunderstorm continues to mature, keep in mind it only developed about 20 minutes ago. It is going to continue to strengthen. And some pretty strong rotation couplets as well, or some pretty strong winds rather as well on this thunderstorm that's developing around Dalby. But we also have a bit of a rotation couplet now beginning to develop. You can see these intense blues surrounded by some lighter blues. Whilst that doesn't indicate direct rotation, it is strong enough to make me concerned that we may have a significant wall cloud, maybe a tornado, but again, very hard to tell right now. Doppler radar, so it's like what it says down the bottom, these orange colours heading to red, or the orange starts off as the weakest and then heading to red is the strongest winds that are heading towards, away from the radar, and then the blue starts off as light blue heading towards the radar and ends up in the dark blue, which is very fast towards the radar, maxing out at 90 kilometers an hour. That's how the Doppler radar is, or the colours, and how it works is just taking the direction of rainfall coming in from these thunderstorms. Just give this a reload here and see what we're looking at from the Brisbane live webcam. Yeah, it's looking like a much more turbulent picture. We can see a big anvil cloud developing out here, big bank of clouds, and it is also looking like a much more turbulent picture compared to where it was about 15 minutes ago. And just looking at like all of this high cloud and the kind of misty glow that we're seeing on this imagery here, it looks extremely humid in Brisbane. If someone can confirm that for me, it just looks really humid and really sticky, and it looks like more thunderstorms are going to be imminent into the Brisbane area as this outbreak continues to unfold. So chances are still there, that's for sure. Great having these live camera videos, and again, I cannot shout out the Brisbane live webcam enough. It's great for tracking events like this. Yeah, that Clifton cell really developing now, and you can see it's becoming a very convectively active picture. Toowoomba, we are going to have to check in on you. We're starting to see lines of thunderstorms developing just to the south of the main thunderstorm, Oki, now in the way of potentially some significant hail, which is just developing towards the north of it. But we're seeing these thunderstorms here begin to develop just outside of the main cell, and if these thunderstorms develop far south enough and move in a direction easterly enough, they will clip Toowoomba. So Toowoomba, whilst severe thunderstorm activity is not expected in the Toowoomba area, we will likely see some strong wind gusts and potentially some rainfall as well into the Toowoomba area in potentially the next 10 to 20 minutes or so, maybe a little bit after that. So we will keep tabs on the Toowoomba situation. Definitely some large hailstones developing though towards the northwest of Toowoomba, about 20 to 25 kilometers, and just towards the north of Oki, we've got some hail definitely developing in this thunderstorm here. Reflectivity readings up around the 60 to 65 mark, which is indicating large, could even be giant hailstones. So much lightning and quite a substantial amount of hail in these thunderstorms out here as well. 65 decibels, pushing closer to about 70 decibels in a few of these thunderstorms. So very dense hail activity, and as these thunderstorms continue to upscale, lots more rainfall is also expected to occur. A lot of reports of between 5 to 15 millimeters into the Brisbane area from those thunderstorms that have moved through. That's great stuff, but again, like we've been talking about, just the warm-up so far. Yeah, just towards the east of Roma, all of these thunderstorms out here are supercellular. This thunderstorm up here as well, it's got a defined hook echo on the radar. This is terrible radar to look for hook echoes, but again, these are supercellular thunderstorms, very, very powerful. It's a complex, severe thunderstorm outbreak. There is a lot of moving parts to this one. Gatton, you may be in the firing line once again for thunderstorms as well, just the heads up there. Yeah, it's all happening. Southeast Queensland, it is all going on right now. We're kind of in that middle ground between the first round of these thunderstorms, where we had that very massive thunderstorm, that emergency thunderstorm situation that moved through Clifton. Oh, wow, look at the rotation out here. Now, this was always going to be the best place for severe thunderstorms that could produce tornadoes. But just have a look at how intense the rotation on the Doppler radar is here. Just the rotation couplets through here of the violent winds that are going away from the radar and then towards the radar here. The contrast here outside of Yuliba. Obviously some giant hailstones developing there, or have been moving through Yuliba. We've had reports of 5 centimeter hailstones out there. But yeah, this is an extremely solid rotation couplet. And our best chance of seeing tornado activity today was going to be out in this part of Queensland from these thunderstorms that move through, particularly at this time here. So I would not be surprised if we were seeing tornadic activity in the making through these parts. But yeah, Clifton is popping off. Yeah, this Clifton thunderstorm once again really getting its act together, pushing close to 60 decibels now. So we need to keep an eye on this one as it moves over Kings Creek. And same with the Rathdowney one as well. Still got a pretty substantial hail core in it as well. And there is definitely some giant hailstones for a very isolated pocket of this thunderstorm here, kind of in this corridor. Rathdowney, you may be clipped by this. There is a bit of a chance that Rathdowney ends up seeing some of the giant hail from this thunderstorm here. It's most likely to happen around the train line here, around the Chiggy National Park. Yeah, pushing close to 70 decibels. We'll be looking at hailstones well in excess of 5 centimeters here. I think it might just clip Rathdowney. It really is going to be a touch and go situation here as this thunderstorm kind of moves through. But yeah, Rathdowney, I would strongly recommend right now getting into a safe part of the house. Definitely not outside, that's for sure. I don't think it'd be overkill to get under a table or under a bed or anything, but I definitely reckon we will see something significant, particularly towards the southeast of Rathdowney. So definitely recommend getting to an interior part of the house. These thunderstorms are strong, they mean business, and there could be a significant risk of maybe large, potentially giant hailstones developing into the Rathdowney area. And just looking at this thunderstorm's passage over the last few moments, it takes it up towards Canungra. It will likely clip Beaudesert, but it could throw out some hail into the Mount Tamborine area, which is up here. That's where Mount Tamborine is, or Tamborine Mountain. I'm going to get it so wrong so many times. But yeah, Upper Springbrook, and then around the Nerang River area, and I believe it's the dam in Nerang, or just inland from Nerang, and where Natural Bridge is, which is down around here. There is definitely the chance of this supercell thunderstorm moving through, which could present some very significant hail and also some strong wind gusts as well. So close tabs on this storm also need to be kept. Yeah, these thunderstorms, they have not messed around. They have been extremely impressive, extremely strong. They've wasted no time in going severe as well. I mean, today has been just a crazy day for severe thunderstorm activity. Some extreme activity across Southeast Queensland. It sure has been a busy one. And it's still going. I mean, we're starting to see these thunderstorms down here. North Star, like I said, that supercell thunderstorm here, which is likely a lot stronger than what the radar suggests. North Star is located under this like glob of lightning right now. And again, more supercell activity beginning to get itself going, not to mention the extremely powerful thunderstorms in a few pockets of New South Wales. This one here, just south of Tamworth, outside of Round Mountain. Very, very intense precipitation readings coming from this 70 decibels. We'll be looking at somewhere like, it'd be close to 5 or 6 centimetre hailstones within that. And as this thunderstorm here heads towards Tamworth, we may be seeing some pretty significant impacts in any of these locations within that outline, including a thunderstorm that could be passing through towards the south as well. So we will keep an eye on this situation here in Tamworth and into the northeast of New South Wales. But already we're starting to see powerful supercell activity beginning to get itself going, and I don't think it would take much to see supercells developing in this little spot here around Boonah and Harrisville, which would then send them into the Brisbane area and through her southern suburbs. So that is something to watch very closely. Ruben Vanden Heuvel, thank you for the generous donation. And I second that as well. Thank you for those very kind words. Brisbane's going to get more storms, practically guaranteed. Now, Caboolture, thunderstorm is very close now. Severe thunderstorm warning and a very dangerous severe thunderstorm at that towards the northwest of Caboolture out here. There's definitely some large hailstones in this, maybe not giant. We're looking at maybe 3.5 to 5 centimeters in diameter, but we are now beginning to see this rainfall begin to push out towards the Caboolture area, and a brief to prolonged period of locally heavy precipitation is possible in Caboolture as this thunderstorm slowly moves towards the north. So in Caboolture, I definitely advise getting inside and away from harm's way, out of the way of these severe thunderstorms as they do begin to move through. They are quite strong. And I look at Sydney, we have thunderstorms not in the Sydney area right now. We do have a few cells further towards the south, and I believe there is the chance of thunderstorms as we push things out towards tomorrow night as well. No, we don't. The thunderstorm chances are going to be further north, but as we get out towards next week, maybe a brief thunderstorm outbreak late Monday night into Tuesday around the Sydney area, and that'll also go up a little bit further north as well. But the time is now for powerful severe thunderstorms across southeast Queensland. The next hour, we're going to see lots and lots of storm development. The one thing that I would like to see, though, and this would guarantee the chances of severe thunderstorms into the Brisbane area, we've got thunderstorms here, which are going to upscale and join thunderstorms here. Big cells out here around the Cecil Plains and Dalby area. Big upscaling cells already out here around Yalibba. We've got this isolated supercell up here around Caboolture and Esk, and then that cell that's moved through the Brisbane area. These two are independent to the rest of them. They're moving off, doing their own thing. We've got the Rathdowney one, and then some cells developing towards the west of Lismore. But we've got this big blank spot here, this big blank corridor. And if you kind of continue to draw the lines of where this blank corridor is, if we continue to see thunderstorms moving in this direction here, it puts pretty much all of Brisbane right up to Redcliffe and then south to Coomera on the Gold Coast outside of the severe thunderstorm chances. So they may thread the needle here as long as we don't see thunderstorms developing further along. But we are now beginning to see a bit of convection developing down here south of Stanthorpe. There's so many moving parts and it's important to remain on top of them. And now lightning developing within this kind of green slot here. This is definitely a spot to watch. If we don't see severe thunderstorms developing here in the next half an hour, we may be able to call an all clear for Brisbane a lot earlier than we thought. But for now, the chances are still very much there and need to be monitored extremely closely, and extreme caution needs to be taken as these thunderstorms blow through southeast Queensland. Very important that we remain vigilant ahead of these thunderstorms. And of course, if you haven't already, please do consider subscribing. And also leave a like on the stream as well. Send through something if you're in a position to do so, and become a channel sponsor by clicking the join button down below. Checking on the storm much further inland, still dropping some very large hailstones. That is cloud tops, not reflectivity. Definitely around that 5 to 6 centimeter mark, and a lot of them as well. They're coming down thick and fast. Yeah. A lot of thunderstorms out in this part of Queensland, and a lot of lightning, as you can see on the screen right now. It's just constant out there. Very, very significant stuff. And then, yeah, these thunderstorms now really beginning to upscale and get themselves going. That Clifton one looks like it might be breathing in and out. It's not doing an awful lot right now. It hasn't done an awful lot in the last couple of minutes. Natalie, thank you for that generous tip as well. But yeah, definitely one to watch outside of Clifton. The Rathdowney one is looking strong. It's looking nasty. It is going to miss Rathdowney though, so that is good news. I'm not going to call an all clear until this storm is well out of Rathdowney, or well out of the region of Rathdowney. But yeah, we're still looking at some pretty intense readings out here. See if we got an update on the severe thunderstorm warning. Not quite yet. Still unconfirmed, or no confirmed reports of a tornado, which doesn't really surprise me just yet, because conditions have only just become conducive for tornadic thunderstorms to develop. Yeah, so what we're looking at later this afternoon and this evening, and we can do that by looking at the convective forecast models, is as these thunderstorms upscale and move into southeast Queensland, joining together, we'll be looking at a big line of squally thunderstorms. And this will develop after about 6 or 7 o'clock. along kind of a dry line here, as this dry line continues to push in towards southeastern Queensland, we will see these squally thunderstorms begin to develop with potential embedded supercells. Now, the embedded supercell activity is most likely to occur in this yellow area, which includes Brisbane, but especially towards the north of Brisbane, up into the Samford Valley, and then outside of Caboolture and into the southern parts of the Sunshine Coast and the Glasshouse Mountains. And it's also very likely into the northeast of New South Wales. It could occur, the chances are still, of course, there around the Gold Coast and the Coomera area, but they're not as high as what they are for either of these locations. For a multitude of factors, there's not as much instability in this little pocket of Queensland here for just how the atmosphere is playing out today. And there also was a little bit of cloud cover earlier today, so they haven't got an as hot throughout the course of today. Yeah, tornadoes are still possible, and they are actually most likely with these embedded supercell activities in those squall lines. So later tonight, we may be looking at the chance of tornadic stuff further north of Brisbane, but again, we don't know until it actually begins to develop. So we're going to have to, again, watch the situation closely, keep an eye on things, and make sure that we aren't missing anything as these thunderstorms move through. The convective thunderstorms are still very much favouring an outbreak of late night supercells, though, through parts of the scenic rim and then into the Ipswich, Lockyer Valley, and then up into the Somerset region. So that could be something to watch. Thunderstorms, supercell thunderstorms developing down here over the ranges outside of Clifton, Toowoomba and Warwick, and then pushing up towards Ipswich and Lowood. This is later tonight, and this is from the convective forecast modelling, so generally speaking, quite an accurate form of forecast modelling. And if we cross-reference that with other major forecasts as well, if they're going to be keen to load in here, I mean, there isn't much, but it does develop in a pretty similar situation, maybe just a few hours earlier, so yeah. So yeah, how do we report severe weather to bomb-like tornadoes? Well, I believe the way that it works is bomb monitor social media pages to see if we've got confirmed reports, because obviously if photos come through, especially on the day, like it's pretty easy to tell as thunderstorms are happening. But I'm not 100% sure about that one. They keep a lot of their warning stuff under tabs to my knowledge. Still a giant hail core in this storm outside of Caboolture, and it is just a heavy rainfall thing for Caboolture. There's never going to be anything crazy in Caboolture up towards Birrawah and Birrabooram, but as this thunderstorm continues to move off, we may be seeing some large, potentially giant hailstones into the Caloundra and the Maroochydore area. Not 100% sure yet, but Maleny and then across to Maroochydore, Caloundra, Mooloolaba, we may be seeing some large hailstones in these areas. So I would say anywhere in this yellow outline here, just watch out. And keep an eye on the coverage, keep an eye on what's going on, because we may be seeing something special, something significant develop there pretty soon. And it's important to keep in the know when we've got stuff like this developing. Yeah, the Clifton one is making me scratch my head. It looks like it's trying to become a multicellular thunderstorm. It's not a particularly dangerous one right now. None of the reflectivity readings are through the roof, but it might be a storm that we need to watch. I believe that the radar's definitely got a clear line of sight on it, so... on the Zero Monsters. Yeah. Well, it's been a long, long day here so far, so... yeah. Got to keep myself awake, alert, and tracking these thunderstorms as they continue to move through. Rathdowney one's still quite strong. Out here, North Star as well being, well, they're right under the impacts of this pretty significant thunderstorm here. Still no update from BOM. It'll be interesting to see what they make of the Clifton thunderstorm. They may label it as very dangerous because it has had a history of dropping hailstones. We've just had an update by the looks of things. Oh no, not quite. This is the same one that we saw 40 minutes ago. But yeah, And then, yeah, significant thunderstorms are also occurring over the border as well. Powerful supercells down here outside of Bremer and Spring Ridge into the north of New South Wales. This is a sign of what we're expecting in the next few hours a little bit further up. We're already beginning to see some of these supercell thunderstorms begin to develop. And you can see over the past hour, just a lot of new thunderstorms blowing off onto the scene and a lot of stronger thunderstorms as well, particularly closer to the Queensland-New South Wales border. But yeah, even over the border as well. I mean, this Rathdowney one, which is just refusing to throw lightning out, is still quite strong. And I would like to say we're most likely at the... we're most likely at the all clear stage for the Rathdowney area, which is good. If we see minor flooding... if we see heavy enough rainfall into some of these river catchments, we will end up seeing minor flooding. So minor flooding in these sort of severe thunderstorm outbreaks is always a possibility, but it's not overly likely at this point in time. So it's not something to be really concerned about, but we will still likely see some flooding impacts through parts of southeastern Queensland and also over the border into the northeast of New South Wales. But I don't really expect anything too crazy to happen through these locations. One of the most significant thunderstorms, though, and when we do see all of the hail that accumulates onto the ground here begin to melt, we could be seeing some flash flooding and some pretty significant accumulations to parts of river levels. I'm glad I answered your question. We do get tornadoes in Australia. We see between 30 to 80 of them per year. And yeah, it does need to be flat tornadoes can occur in hilly areas, but they prefer those flat plains. That's why they're so common over in the United States. But Australia's got no shortage of plains, let me tell you. Last Southeast Queensland or Northeast New South Wales tornado that I'm aware of was those Christmas ones that came through in 2023. But there's most likely been one since. There was unconfirmed reports of a tornado from a fake news weather page, a couple of weekends ago around Bow Desert, but they were not confirmed and we had no proof about that, so yeah. Well, nothing happening in Logan just yet. That will likely change later on today. Starting to rumble it lately, ahead of the Clifton thunderstorm here. Keen to see, it's throwing some more lightning out now, so whatever the next radar frame is, could be interesting. If it throws out more lightning, it'll still be on that intensification. Yeah, it's still got large hailstones, potentially giant hailstones confirmed by the Marburg radar, which we're looking at right now, and very defined rotation. So it's obviously a supercell thunderstorm. What? Dolby has had 17 mil in... Oh my goodness. What's that? Like 10 minutes? Wow, so it's absolutely poured down at Dolby. They've copped the brunt of that here. So a lot of these thunderstorms now transitioning into pretty seriously high, heavy precipitation storm modes. But yeah, this Clifton cell here, and there's another one developing just to the south at Alara, and then another one developing just to the west of Clifton, another one here towards the southeast of Mount Mistake, and then this Rathdowney one here, which is being interpreted awfully by the radar, as we would expect, but still a solid storm here outside of Kilcoy and Caboolture. And if we have a look at the Doppler wind readings on all of these storms here, that Caboolture one still with a tight amount of rotation. The Rathdowney one as well, I imagine still has rotation, but this is terrible radar to look at, and some strong rotation beginning to develop around the Nobby Clifton area. So yeah, there's just still so much more severe thunderstorm activity, and it is continuing to develop as well. So this outbreak is nowhere near finished. It's such a small cell, that Rathdowney one, as it heads out towards the Hynes Dam. That's the place. I just love it through there. It's absolutely gorgeous, that part of Queensland. And in terms of the Doppler radar here, yeah, we still do have rotations. That's still a confirmed supercell thunderstorm. And this out towards Toowoomba as well. Still some very heavy precipitation moving over the Toowoomba radar, which means the true magnitude of the thunderstorm outside of Clifton is not going to be accurately estimated by these thunderstorms, by these radar stations. We're just not going to know until the conditions begin to clear up. So, the conditions over the radar begin to clear up. It's just not going to happen just yet. So we'll keep a close eye on that. But these thunderstorms, that once we see precipitation rates move over the radar, it's very difficult to get an accurate picture in terms of how heavy the rainfall is, because the radar is being shrouded in heavy precipitation or hail. It's good that we didn't actually lose any of these radars yet. When we're talking about a thunderstorm outbreak like this, it's very often we lose one or two of the radar stations. So the fact that we haven't yet, we need to consider ourselves very lucky. I just want to say a massive thank you to everybody that has supported this stream so far, and all of the new subscribers as well. I mean, obviously, don't do this for the numbers. I do this because I thoroughly enjoy it, and it is a great opportunity to provide a helpful service to people of Southeast Queensland and Australia. So I'm very, very grateful for that. But it is very, very nice to see the inflow of support. So thank you so much for all of the kind words that we've seen, and all of the new subscribers as well. And if you haven't subscribed, consider subscribing for more thunderstorm coverage and also cyclone coverage. Live streaming is a service I am planning to do a lot of this summer. And we've got that other strong storm here outside of Aurora. 64 decibels, large hail developing there. And of course, we've still got our usual massive hailstorms out here, but they're all blocked by the radar. So the hailstones out in this part of Queensland. Keep in mind the Toowoomba radar is here, and if we draw the Toowoomba radar here outside of Crow's Nest, you can see they've got to make it through the thunderstorm moving over, this thunderstorm here, which is heavy rainfall, this thunderstorm, this line of storms here, this storm, until they can see the precipitation that's developing in this thunderstorm here, which is being estimated by the Taroom radar. But when we're talking about such heavy amounts of precipitation, these thunderstorms are shrouded in mystery. So we may be having some incredibly heavy or large hailstones in this part of Queensland right now, and we may have no idea because it is just shrouded in precipitation. Still holding on. Look at this. North of Woodford, now moving into Chester and then eventually out towards Beerwah. This thunderstorm here is strong, moving through the Belthorpe National Park. 66 decibels, getting close to 70. We're talking about large, maybe even giant hailstones up here. But yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and say that everywhere. I mean, obviously we've got our thunderstorm, or the main cell. The really strong stuff is here, and we've also got that rotation on the Doppler radar as well. So anywhere within these lines I'm about to draw. So this will include Maleny as well, and then up towards Idulo, and then down here, including Beerwah, then down towards the Glasshouse Mountains, Landsborough, Malula, and then Mooloolaba and Caloundra, particularly Caloundra as well. I'm a little bit concerned for now. This thunderstorm's heading your way. So you need to watch out, you need to be vigilant, and you need to stay up to date on this information. When we will have a storm to hit North Brisbane, the next storm for North Brisbane will happen when these thunderstorms upscale enough to develop into the Brisbane area. And I'm pretty confident now that we're going to see seriously severe thunderstorms around the Brisbane area, because we're now beginning to see cells developing here. The Rathdowney one's still holding on, strong one to the south of Clifton. This thunderstorm here towards the north of Clifton, and another cell developing that's going to move into Clifton. Clifton, large hail is again another risk. Your third storm of the day, or your third imminent storm threat of the day. Gatton is the next spot for this thunderstorm, particularly Gatton and towards the east, out towards Lowood. And then we've got this strong line of thunderstorms here, which could join up with this one, and then this will throw Esk under another warning. Crow's Nest, the risk is imminent as well. Toowoomba, some lightning and thunder activity down there, but likely nothing too crazy in the Toowoomba area. And then further north out to about Nanango, we've got severe thunderstorm potential as well. Not to mention, thunderstorms now beginning to develop around the Warwick area as well. We may be looking at a severe thunderstorm warning pretty soon around the Warwick area. Then this will carry over into the Kurunga area as well, the Rathdowney cell. So this will move north of the Hines Dam and into the Natural Bridge National Park. Mount Tamborine is a possibility, or Tamborine Mountain is a possibility, which I've marked with an X. But I reckon that this thunderstorm is going to weaken off a little bit, just considering its structure right now. It's not perfect. But yeah, a lot of severe thunderstorm activity, and it will be east and north of Brisbane's turn once all of these thunderstorms here in about an hour to an hour and a half, upscale enough to get up into the Brisbane and the northern suburbs of Brisbane. So your Strathpine and Caboolture once again. Lots of thunderstorms into the northeast of New South Wales as well. We've got 3, maybe 4 separate cells here, and these will all upscale, and they could cross the border into the northern parts of New South Wales, into southeastern Queensland. We may see some strong thunderstorm activity down there. Yeah, so the rain and thunder now in the Maroochydore area is, well, it's definitely beginning to pick up, actually. We've seen some sharp jumps in precipitation around the Caloundra area. But the strongest stuff is this thunderstorm, which is breathing new life back into itself, and that's going for Maroochydore. Caloundra will likely miss the worst of it. We'll still see some large hail in the Caloundra area, but this very dangerous thunderstorm is now a very serious threat for Maroochydore, Mooloolaba, Sunshine Coast Airport, and then down to the Caloundra area. So this is something that is quite concerning, and we need to watch that like a hawk. That's a serious storm threat now. That's a very, very serious storm threat. Yeah. So we're going to have to watch this one. And do we have an update on the severe thunderstorm situation across Southeast Queensland? Yes, Maroochydore now under that very dangerous severe thunderstorm warning tag through the Sunshine Coast. Look at how many thunderstorms. So the Clifton one's been tagged as very dangerous. We knew that that would happen for large hailstones. And the Rathdowney one's still tagged as very dangerous as well. No update in what we're seeing impacts-wise. However, 46 millimetres of rainfall. We're now starting to see these significant rainfall accumulations in 30 millimetres. And we had 104 km/h wind gusts at Dalby Airport, which was then followed by 17 millimetres of rainfall in 5 minutes. So it got pretty wild out there. But yeah, what a busy picture. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 thunderstorms in southeast Queensland that have been labelled as dangerous. And 3 of them, I can't count apparently, have been labelled as very dangerous. And this includes the one for Maroochydore. I'm going to say Caloundra just to keep everybody safe there. Rathdowney, Elora, and then for Clifton as well, which is through there. And then eventually for Gatton, potentially Laidley as well. Toowoomba is also a chance. This is the Dalby one that's moving through here. Dalby's actually over here. This is the one that's broken off the Dalby one. And then into the South Burnett, we've got one that's going to be going for Kingaroy pretty soon. No update to that one just yet either. But yeah, a big cluster of thunderstorms that's moving through. A lot of thunderstorms that are moving through. No, the Rathdowney storm hasn't passed just yet. It's still holding on. It's not throwing out much lightning at all, but it's still holding on. It's got some large, potentially giant hailstones embedded within it. But yeah, the Gold Coast is potentially in the firing line of this thunderstorm here. I mean, it's kind of... it's really kind of trickled away south of Rathdowney. Nicholas Gray, thank you for becoming a channel sponsor as well, by the way. But it could throw the Gold Coast into the threat of a severe thunderstorm, or anywhere around the Canungra area, potentially up towards Tamborine Mountain. But it also looks like this thunderstorm here is going to cark it in the next 30 minutes or so before it can get itself down onto the Gold Coast or into Coolangatta. So that's a bit of good news. It doesn't look like it's going to directly impact the Gold Coast area. It looks like it's going to actually bypass the Gold Coast area, which is very good news indeed. In terms of the live stream here, which I strongly recommend checking out, we're now starting to see, this is the storm that's moving into the Sunshine Coast over here. This is well off towards the right. But we're now beginning to see a lot of darkness developing just in the distance on the skyline through here. Low cloud cover as well through here as we enter the evening hours, 4:37 p.m. local time. But this is our Clifton thunderstorm. This is the strong one. This has been labelled as very dangerous. So we're going to be watching this webcam very, very closely, very, very soon. Because some strong stuff is possible as that goes through. Didn't ask Siri. Constant feature in these streams. Nope. You're still going, are you? I need to stop having smart speakers. Anyway, so the Rathdowney one is now beginning to pass off. It doesn't look like it's going to make it much longer. Woombye. Whereabouts is Woombye? Lots and lots of cells get themselves going. Of course, we've got the Clifton one up here. The dangerous Clifton one is the northern one, actually, but we're also looking at pretty strong Clifton activity towards the west of Clifton. And it looks like this thunderstorm is actually going to move through Clifton. So it's moving through right now. Very badly damaged Pratton, where 9 centimeter hailstones were reported. And if we have a look at some of the readings, the reflectivity reading, 60 decibels here. That's pretty significant. That's really significant indeed, and likely we're talking, again, large hailstones being dropped in those areas. Now, as this moves into Clifton, I would recommend hunkering down away out of harm's way with this severe thunderstorm threat that's moving in. Potentially large hailstones into Clifton, 3, maybe 4 centimeters. We may even be looking at 5 centimeter hailstones once again into the Clifton area. It's not out of the question. Allura as well. Hunker down in the next 10 minutes. Strong thunderstorm moving through Mount Whitestone, Marmar Creek, Grantham, and Gatton, as well as this thunderstorm here continues to gather a little bit of steam. It's still got that very dangerous tag, and of course we have that strong thunderstorm here towards the north into the Lockyer Valley, moving across in this direction here up towards Esk. It's not expected to impact too many people because it is in more of an isolated population area. It's bypassed Toowoomba, which is good, but north of Helidon, Grantham and Gatton, we'll be looking at some significant storm activity. Uneventful in Warwick, considering what has happened in Pratt, and that's just the nature of severe thunderstorms. They can avoid areas, they can move in erratic tracks. I mean, have a look at the tracks that these thunderstorms are getting from the warnings. They're every which way. I mean, they're all generally heading towards the east, but some of them are moving northeast, some are moving towards the due east, and others are moving east-northeast. So they move in every which direction. Thunderstorms have a mind of their own. So whilst it's been a nothing burger in Warwick so far, nearby, where these thunderstorms have been moving through, they are very, very strong indeed, or have been very, very strong. And that is, again, just the nature of severe thunderstorms and severe thunderstorm tracking. Powerful supercell thunderstorms here clearing out of North Star, now about to cross the New South Wales-Queensland border into Texas. And I would recommend in Texas, that of course being the town in southern Queensland, beginning to move inside and putting cars away right now. Sherry Newman, thank you for becoming a channel sponsor. Strong severe thunderstorms moving into the Sunshine Coast as well. An imminent, very dangerous severe thunderstorm is actually present now, or risk is present for the Sunshine Coast, 65 decibels. We will be talking about hailstones around 5 centimeters or larger. And just having a look at its recent storm motion. Right now it's moving in this direction here. Looks like it's going to jog more sort of to this direction, though. It could go straight over Mooloolaba and Maroochydore, with the large hail core likely to move within any one of these blue lines, which throws it north of Caloundra, up to Mooloolaba, and then up towards Maroochydore, and potentially onwards towards Coolum, but it will likely drop all of the hail before it gets itself up there. So Maroochydore, think about getting inside now if you've got your cars outside in Maroochydore, even Caloundra, just to be safe than to be sorry. Same with Beerway, you're looking way too late now, I'd say. Get that car inside under cover, or at least put a tarp over it before the hail gets there. Get inside and find your safe spot, because this thunderstorm threat is imminent now for those locations. And we will be talking about a substantial risk to property. And there we go, the latest radar frames as this thunderstorm moves over Chichester. Very large hailstones likely developing there, 5 centimeters plus, very likely occurring. Moving in towards Landsborough, and then eventually on towards Mooloola as well. So the large hail core still very defined here as it moves up towards the Sunshine Coast. And it's going to get itself into the northern parts of the Glasshouse Mountains very shortly, or it's already there. We will see some relatively significant, potentially some large and maybe even some giant hailstones. Beerwah, it looks like you will just miss the worst of this thunderstorm here. Yeah, it looks like the worst of the precipitation is going to kind of stay towards this side of the line. But Chester, you're going to get walloped by the looks of things with hail. Lots of lightning as well developing in this area. The monsters, just to keep my eyes open. That's the thing about being a one-man show. Sleep doesn't happen with these thunderstorms. Maybe about 8 or 9 hours in the past 4 days, just making forecasts, calling people, talking to people about it, and making sure that we've got the best, most up-to-date information in regards to this. So all of the support today has been very much appreciated. It's been a great byproduct of this thunderstorm coverage, which has been a couple of days in the making. North of Toowoomba, some pretty intense precipitation there. Northeast of Dalby up to Bell, inland towards the coast, towards Yarraman and Nanango. Kingaroy, thunderstorm risk building. Look towards your south and southwest. And then in the next 20 minutes, rainfall is going to really begin to pick up. Big thunderstorm potential as this line of powerful thunderstorms begins to upscale. Yeah, the Rathdowney cell is still throwing out some lightning. It may not be done just yet. We will have to watch that in the next frame. But yeah, now outside of Boonah, another powerful, potentially dangerous thunderstorm beginning to develop. And we've got our 3 amigos down here around Clifton. Moving over Clifton right now, the powerful one between Toowoomba, between Gatton and Clifton, rather, passing towards the southeast of Toowoomba. All of these thunderstorms moving off in this direction here. And in fact, they're probably more of the 4 amigos. Now, the next thing that could happen with these thunderstorms is they all upscale into one large multicellular thunderstorm and throw out a ton of lightning, rainfall, and small hailstones, or they remain supercellular in nature and they become very dangerous for a few locations. So this is the evening outbreak. This is the round 2 that we were expecting and tracking, and it is imminent. The severe thunderstorm risk is growing, and it's just going to continue to deteriorate across Southeast Queensland. Just checking back in on the Brisbane radar, you can see that thunderstorm now just towards the west of Boonah. It's not rotating just yet, but it's developed very, very quickly. Rainfall now beginning to start at Warwick as well. These thunderstorms moving towards the north of Warwick, completely bypassing the area. And that Springbrook cell now around the Hinds Dam has now completely carked it. My upper of choice. It depends on the day. It's either a coffee, a pre-workout, or just a good old white monster. Yeah, but now that we're seeing these thunderstorms beginning to develop and fill this gap as well, which was the gap that I was concerned about for thunderstorms completely missing and bypassing the Brisbane area, it now looks very likely that Brisbane is going to see that large multicellular thunderstorm that we've been talking about. The KFC box. Yeah, that's a Zinger box, all right. Thank you very much, Dan. Hope they're still open when the streams are done. Much appreciated. Yeah, it's a stormy picture. I mean, this is an ominous picture if you're in Brisbane. If we pause it on the latest frame here, there are lots of thunderstorms, and again, we can begin to see them slowly upscaling here. Big cell here now moving into Texas. There's a lot of hail in that one. Just south of Milliman as well. This one here will bypass south of Toowoomba by the looks of things, but we will still see some large hailstones between Toowoomba down to Clifton once again. Lots of cells around the Clifton area, like we said, the 3 amigos down there. Strong cells over the border. Still one that's just bypassed Grafton, and then a series of very strong cells making up now a large line of thunderstorms moving towards the northeast, and of course our old friend up here on the Sunshine Coast. That thunderstorm has had a journey and a half. The green line is where that thunderstorm has tracked today, and through its entire lifespan it has dropped 9 centimeter hailstones. It has dropped hundreds upon hundreds of millimeters of rainfall across the duration of its lifespan, and it's been going since I believe it was about 10:30 my time, so it's been over 4 hours this thunderstorm has been going. So extremely long track thunderstorm along that green line, and that has been the star of the show today, among many others of these thunderstorms. Very powerful thunderstorm outbreak. Continuing to go. I mean, it's still got some extremely heavy precipitation, and the other half of my Zinger box has just arrived, so thank you so much for that as well, DS. 4994 and 4. 65 decibels, still some large, potentially giant hailstones there. I'd be interested to see what has happened at Chester as a result of these thunderstorms. We've got a webcam here at Maroochydore. Sunshine Coast Airport. Pretty ominous picture there. That's a very, very black picture at Sunshine Coast Airport. And if we've got any other webcam footage around here, normally the Redcliffe one's pretty good, but it's not looking in the right direction for these thunderstorms. Thank you so much, Mason, for that very generous donation as well, and your very kind words. Let's go and have a look, actually. That's probably a better radar to look at now, the Gympie one. Yeah, still some good rotation moving through the Maleni area now, and that's going to move towards the north of Maroochydore, actually. If we just stop that on the latest frame, it looks like if we were to extrapolate the track, which is right on top of Maleni right now, we'd be talking about this thunderstorm probably passing just towards the north of Maroochydore, which means that hail core will move kind of somewhere in this line here, which would put it over Maroochydore, but definitely some large hailstones expected in the Maroochydore area. Very much likely to occur, I should say. It's great that we've got such a comprehensive network of radar imagery across Southeast Queensland. Ooh, that is a lot of precipitation and some very intense stuff as well. So this is a good example of what we're expecting later tonight. These thunderstorms are now, like we said, beginning to upscale, and we're seeing these lines of thunderstorms here, but we've got these embedded, very tight areas of rotation where we've got those very strong winds and then relatively weaker winds just around it and coming away from the radar as well. So what this is our embedded supercell activity now beginning to develop. Peachester. These are these developing thunderstorms beginning to supercells developing in that squall line. We've got another one over here, and these are the ones that we've been talking about as that tornado risk. This is where they are most likely to occur throughout the course of today. Yes, moving over Cromhurst right now, and then just south of Maleni, that strong thunderstorm into the Sunshine Coast. It's kind of breathing in and out as well, and then strong thunderstorm activity now moving around the Gatton area. This thunderstorm here is, for some reason, on the radar that we're looking at right now, the Gatton one, within here, it is a lot more intense than what this map is showing. It's we've got readings around that, I believe it was about 70 decibels or something, or getting close to 70 decibels, and it's going straight for Gatton, so just don't be too put out by this thunderstorm here, because it definitely is looking quite strong. Dan, thank you for becoming a channel sponsor. Billy White, thank you for that very generous donation. When we're talking about hail risks like this, it is okay, built for that sort of stuff. We're still expecting a pretty significant impact, and giant hailstones can cause damage, but get inside, put the car away, and make sure that you're out of harm's way in a thunderstorm situation like this. Now, for Gatton, imminent thunderstorm risk. We've got this line of gusty showers now beginning to move through into the Gatton area, not to mention some likely large hailstones developing just in this little section here as this supercell pushes through. Gatton, get inside, get into your safe space now. This is not like the previous storm where it was a nothing burger for Gatton because it passed towards the north instead of going over Gatton itself. This is going straight for Gatton, and it's not going to make a turn away from Gatton. So get inside, make sure the car is away, and make sure you're ready for significant severe thunderstorm impacts in the Gatton area. Clifton, strong thunderstorm moving over your area now, all clear in about 2 minutes. Boona, get inside as well. Strong thunderstorm moving into the Boona area in the next 5 minutes or so. Significant hail is possible, and again, a developing, very rapidly maturing supercell here towards the south of Millmerran, which is also, by the looks of things, on a collision course for badly beat up Clifton north of Warwick. It looks like everything's just going to miss the Warwick area throughout the course of today. It has been a busy one. I couldn't count how many storms we've been tracking throughout the course of today. There's been so many of them. Texas as well. And it also looks like this supercell thunderstorm here, which is south of Yellowbun in southern Queensland, but Texas in southern Queensland, significant supercell potential there. I would recommend getting inside and getting into a safe spot right now on that Texas cell. And Premier on the New South Wales side of things, we're looking at 70 decibels here, 72 decibels, so the giant hailstones moving towards Spring Ridge and Blackville into the northeast of New South Wales. Not to mention all sorts of hail and heavy rainfall around the Grafton area. And that Rathdowney storm now pushing into the Gold Coast with some more moderate precipitation there. Yeah, rain is falling around the Byron Bay area right now. A couple of thunderstorms here and there, but likely to be a lot weaker around Byron Bay until later tonight when severe thunderstorms become possible once again. Southwestern Queensland, nothing today. Yeah, nothing out in southwestern Queensland today. There's not a cloud in the sky out there. A beautiful top of, well, in the high 30s. But yeah, look at all this lightning activity through these thunderstorms. There's just so much of it. Cloud activity is just so intense in these areas. Bayside suburbs like Wynnum are going to cop a second win. Yeah, so nothing early. In fact, you got a lot more than I actually expected for those areas earlier, but into the Bayside suburbs, it's all going to happen later tonight. And if we continue to see these thunderstorms develop and upscale and join into each other as they push into the Brisbane area, we're going to see some significant impacts through Brisbane, Ipswich, and then eventually on into the Bayside area. So it's possible, but right now chances very much dependent on when these thunderstorms begin developing, which they're going to do. We're already starting to see some of this convection piling into the Ipswich area, and that's going to start off rainfall and a few cracks of lightning here and there very soon. But we're just going to have to wait and see until these thunderstorms develop. So I'll have an answer to that in maybe about half an hour or so. We'll have to keep a close eye on that. If you're enjoying the coverage and you'd like to see more of this, especially through the remainder of storm season, please consider leaving a like and also subscribe to the CyclonesOZ channel, and go and check out my Facebook page as well for more information on these severe thunderstorms as they unfold. Big stuff in terms of live coverage is coming as well, so please consider. It keeps you up to date with warnings like this as well. So the thunderstorms moving into the Sunshine Coast, still remaining strong and severe, moving over Peachester. 63 decibels. Do we have an update on the severe thunderstorm warning? Not quite yet. This was issued, it was only issued 25 minutes ago, so... Oh, Andrew Gordon, that is very generous. A lot of people giving these channel memberships, massively appreciated to do that. We've got a developing supercell thunderstorm here that's going to move through the Yarraman area. The Doppler is suggesting some extremely intense rotation on that as well. I mean, have a look at this. We do have that hole, but it is, I don't know if you can tell, but it is extremely intense here, moving into Yarraman. So likely some strong winds there. That's something that's very much worth watching. Alex Nilsson, thank you for becoming a channel sponsor as well. But yeah, this is a storm to watch. Definitely keep an eye on. We've obviously got our good rotation developing around the Birra and the Caloundra area from that severe thunderstorm there. But yeah, this is a very ominous scene in the amount of rotation that's developing from these thunderstorms. There's a lot of rotating thunderstorms here. And if we actually zoom in on the latest frame here, on that Yarraman storm, it's a very organized, and it looks like a very pretty supercell thunderstorm as well. So yeah, looking healthy. There's a lot going for that severe thunderstorm up there. North of Mount Binga, and then that's going to move in towards Blackbutt. Actually, that looks like it's going to give Blackbutt it might give Blackbutt a bit of a miss, but definitely with this hail core beginning to expand, I would say for Blackbutt, some large, potentially giant hailstones will actually come into the Blackbutt area. So yeah, up in Blackbutt, keep things inside, keep yourself inside, and make sure your car is ready. Number one computer shop in Ipswich, big fans, thank you for that generous donation as well. And hello, Ipswich. Yeah, lots and lots of heavy precipitation down here as well. Gatton just copped some more hailstones, and we've got another supercell here, which is just moving across the, what's the name of the place? I should know, Tent Hill. Flagstone Creek, and then we've got Mount Whitestone here. So this is some pretty intense precipitation, and that's moving just towards the east-northeast. So that's going to go straight over Gatton once again, and large hailstones possible out towards Laidley as well. And yeah, some pretty intense precipitation in there as well. So likely not giant hailstones in Gatton, but we definitely saw some large hailstones, or we're seeing some large hailstones right now. And then, yeah, large hailstones likely developing in that cell just behind it. And we've also got some large hailstones now pushing into the Boona area, so stay safe there and stay inside. So we're just going to have to wait and see on whether or not all of this stuff here, which is kind of the disbursement of that Clifton stuff about 30 minutes ago, becomes thunderstorm based or multicellular thunderstorm based. You have a great choice, Cam's Fishing Addiction. A great choice in drink. Southwestern Queensland, St. George, Thallon, Seward, etc. All clear. All clear for those locations. Now, St. George is a lovely 39 degrees, but yeah, all clear for those locations. No more thunderstorms expected out there, and you can actually see they're in that big dry slot. Humidity value is very low. They're well in that dry line. No more thunderstorms are expected in those areas. Maroochydore, I would say you've got the next 10 minutes to get yourself ready for these severe thunderstorms before they are on top of you. They are posing a significant risk. We do have some areas of potentially large or giant hailstones. So, yeah, you've got about 20 minutes before those thunderstorms are right on top of you, and they could cause some significant impacts there. Alex Nielsen, you're more than welcome. Thank you so much for the kind words and also the donation. I'm glad that I could help your partner get home to safety away from these thunderstorms. Predictions for Surface Paradise. Like I've been saying across Southeast Queensland, it's just difficult to say because we need to see thunderstorms developing all through this area, like very, very frequently all through this area, particularly around the Beaudesert and the Rathdowney area, before we can start making proper calls and predictions around the Gold Coast and Brisbane area. So it very much depends on what thunderstorms develop and move through here and how they perform through here in the next kind of 20 minutes or so, or 30 minutes out to the next hour. And if we do see widespread thunderstorm activity, then it's very likely that we're going to see significant impacts in the way of strong winds, heavy rainfall, potentially some hailstones as well in those areas. Yeah, I'd put your cars inside. North Brisbane, definitely put your cars inside, especially ahead of these thunderstorms. As we go, I'll be giving you the updates on these thunderstorms. There's no threat for the next hour or so in North Brisbane, but definitely cars inside as these thunderstorms begin to move in. Baz, I'm glad that you took the advice, collected your dog early, and are now home safe out of harm's way as these thunderstorms continue. They've definitely came through a little bit later than expected. I thought Brisbane would be quite a lot more hectic around the 3 to 4 p.m. time frame. But yeah, still, I mean, that thunderstorm that went through that dropped 10, 15 millimetres in a few minutes, and just a lot of small hailstones, whilst it was a nothing burger for those locations south of the Brisbane River, as forecast, it was still quite strong, so yeah. That's the end of another water bottle. Yeah, I'd be interested to know if we've had hail reports, at least if we've got an update. Yeah, still tagged as very dangerous here, giant hailstones outside of Maroochydore. And then this one into the Lockyer Valley here, moving through Gatton, very dangerous with giant hailstones as well. Boona, Beaudesert now in the firing line. Parts of the Ipswich region as well, excluding Ipswich, also in the firing line. Kilcoy-esque, also in the firing line. Kingaroy, severe thunderstorms are imminent there as well. Still no update in the conditions that we're seeing around these thunderstorms. Very powerful thunderstorm outside of Yarraman. Thank you for the kind words. Chadwicky, what's the forecast around the Bundaberg and the Wide Bay area tonight? If you do see thunderstorms, which aren't overly likely, you may see a bit of rainfall later into the Bundaberg and Wide Bay area. Much later on tonight, we're talking like close to midnight or so. It will be kind of residual stuff, so just weak rainfall accumulations, bit of lightning here and there, maybe some small hailstones. But yeah, nothing crazy up there, just some pretty typical run-of-the-mill end-of-day stuff, or just residual end-of-day stuff. So it's interesting how the major forecast models here, the EastMWF, doesn't actually predict the late-night activity that we're going to see through Southeast Queensland, whereas the GFS really calls for it. So you can see the stark contrast between the two major forecast models here, EastMWF versus GFS, back to EastMWF, and then this is the Icon forecast model, which is really heavy on the thunderstorms. The Axis also very heavy on the thunderstorms, and the convective forecast models reasonably heavy on the forecast models, on the thunderstorms as well, especially as we get later on into the night. So it is, as a forecaster right now, it leaves me in a pretty tough position in terms of what to call into the Brisbane area. And that's why I'm sort of saying right now, let's just wait and see what thunderstorms develop, because we obviously still have a lot of convective energy back here, because we're still seeing these supercells pushing in, and they're going to continue to upscale, continue to grow. And these ones are strong. These are no small cells. Same with these ones here, same with the Grafton ones. So Brisbane, still these thunderstorms are a few hours away. Thank you, Rob, for those very generous words as well. So what I'm considering doing here, just to save myself as well and to get some more information out, is once these very dangerous severe thunderstorms begin to ease off around Maroochydore, I will be taking another half an hour break from the live coverage, just to make sure that, you know, I catch my breath and can breathe around here, because it is, at the end of the day, just a one-man show. But what we're going to be doing is coming back when these severe thunderstorms develop south of Brisbane and giving live coverage there. Really, really concerning what we could be seeing later tonight into the Brisbane area. And I would just like to say that it hasn't begun yet for Brisbane. The severe thunderstorm threat hasn't begun yet for the Brisbane city area. It's still building, it's still coming, it's still on the way. So for Brisbane, conditions are going to get worse. Things are going to get more significant into the Brisbane area, and we're expecting some very significant stuff as time continues to draw on. But that is not us leaving the stream just yet. But Maroochydore, very dangerous severe thunderstorm still tagged up here, 64 decibels. We've definitely got some significant hailstones occurring here, just towards the west of Mooloolah. Of course, hunkering down if we're in Millennial Mooloolah, as we have been warned. But Palm Woods, Woombye, Nambour, Bli, Sunshine Coast here, Mooloolaba, through the Sunshine Coast Airport down to Caloundra, all of these locations at a significant risk of seeing serious large hailstones as this thunderstorm pushes through. In fact, its trajectory is more in this sort of direction here, which does bypass the coast for the most part. It may spare the Mooloolaba foreshore, but definitely for these locations through here, Woombye, Nambour, Palm Woods, Mooloolah, Landsborough, Maleny, we've got that defined hook echo still, so it's still a rotating supercell thunderstorm. Very, very dangerous system as it moves through. Any updates for Logan flooding risks? Oh, there is no one has to donate. I do see the donations much more clearly because they're obviously in very bright colours and they don't move that fast. But any updates for Logan in terms of flooding risks? Well, if we do see strong severe thunderstorms, they're going to bring heavy rainfall, so we will see some substantial increases in flooding potential into the Logan area. But in terms of the risk right now, it's not actually that high. Because these thunderstorms are actually moving through pretty quickly. The risk of flooding in any one location is not exactly extreme or going to be prolonged. Boona thunderstorm still tagged as very dangerous as well, so that's likely dropping some large hailstones as it moves out towards Beaudesert. But Beaudesert, you are you're on notice. You are still this Gatton storm here, as complex as this storm system is, 67 decibels, 63 decibels over here. That's giant hail in both of these storm cells, which are now beginning to combine, moving through the Gatton area just off towards the northeast. And this will obviously put Lowood and Marburg under threat very, very soon, in about 20 minutes or so. So we'll have to keep a close idea of on the situation out around the Lowood and the Marburg area. Laidley could dodge the hail, but they're likely to see a brief period of heavy rainfall. Small hailstones are likely in the Laidley area as well. Oh my, that's a very, very potent hook echo, or it was a very potent hook echo, and still a very potent hook echo moving up north of Yarraman now. Have a look at the radar for that. It's a tight supercell thunderstorm moving into the Yarraman region. Very, very defined rotation, and Yarraman likely copying some very significant hail at this point in time. Big thunderstorms now beginning to build as we see these storms, these very significant storms moving into the Brisbane area. How about the storms going to get in Ferndale? Can I just get an idea of whereabouts Ferndale is? Alex, thank you so much for the generous donation as well, and the kind words too. Parents are rural and they rely on Starlink. What's the weather looking like for the Kenilworth, Limble area, Kenilworth sounds like they are going to cop it. Let's just check that area. Kenilworth is a lot further inland though. I can just hear everybody screaming at the screen right now telling me that Kenilworth is up here. Oh yeah, so Kenilworth south of Gympie, they're dodging that severe thunderstorm that's moving through the Sunshine Coast, and they're dodging it by a pretty significant margin, so I don't expect anything there. But this Yarraman storm, which is moving here, we've got another strong storm that's moving through more, one that's going to move towards the north of Kilcoy, and of course, like all of these storms here will eventually join up into one big line of squalls with embedded supercells, and that will throw Kenilworth into the mix of things. Kadanga as well, Gympie eventually in about 2 hours time, but yeah, Kenilworth in the next kind of hour or so, we'll be looking at storms up there, so you can pass that information off as well. So yeah, lots and lots going on up there. Fernvale is 10 minutes away from Lowood on the Brisbane Valley Highway, so yeah, well, Lowood is in that, Ferndale's just here, so Ferndale and these locations are in the firing line of this potentially significant severe thunderstorm here. So Ferndale being right here, and then these thunderstorms here moving off in this sort of direction. So Ferndale, yeah, right in the firing line for this potentially significant severe thunderstorm, and we'll have to watch that one too, because once that gets itself out there, we'll be looking at the large hail risk for the Lowood area and also for Ferndale as well. So Fernvale as well. So significant hail possible, 3 centimeters very likely to occur around Fernvale, and potentially up towards 5 centimeters further towards the north, up towards the Wivenhoe Dam area, and then around Lowood and Cominya as well. But Ferndale will likely get the lighter end of the stick compared to what locations a little bit further north will. One was updated. I love seeing these updates come through. So here we go. It must have updated for the locations a little bit further inland. In saying that though, it just looks like with the trajectory of these thunderstorms, so whilst this cell here has kind of tracked along in this direction, this one here is moving up here, so they've kind of crossed. You'd think that that would average out, but thunderstorms are funny things. It'll likely continue just moving on in this sort of direction here, and then this one will continue like that. It could break apart by the time it gets to the Fernvale area, so that is something to keep an eye on as well. Oh wow, very dangerous thunderstorms are through a wide swathe of locations. It's still from about 20 minutes ago. Yeah, and Maroochydore about to cop it. So I think it's time now for Maroochydore. I think it's time now to call a significant severe thunderstorm risk is imminent. And if you live in Maroochydore, particularly towards the south of Maroochydore down to Mooloolaba, and then up to the airport, and especially further inland into Sippy Downs, Butterim and Mountain Creek, get inside, get the cars away, and stay safe. Toowoomba is on the backside of these thunderstorms here that are moving through Gatton. We've got strong cells left, right, and centre, including a severe thunderstorm cell. This imagery is about 20 minutes old, so no good to us. Still on the backside of those cells, we've got this strong multicellular system around Gatton. Dying cell here towards the east of Clifton. That severe cell that's moving between Boonah and Beaudesert. Strong cell here around Leyburn, which is moving off here, and that's going to pass between Clifton and Warwick by the looks of things, potentially close towards Clifton though. Toowoomba, of course, being right here, and then thunderstorms moving around the Cecil Plains area, and then up towards Dalby once again, where the rainfall is still falling. But unless we see something developing around here, which is possible because we're seeing a bit of cloud activity here towards the north of Pittsworth, I think Toowoomba may be in the all clear for tonight. Keep in mind, this dry line is now pushing through these areas here, so it's not far from Toowoomba, and once that dry line gets over Toowoomba, conditions are going to ease off. That's not far away. So Toowoomba may be getting close to the all clear from this very dangerous severe thunderstorm outbreak that's moving through. Of course, if you haven't already, please do consider subscribing and also leave a like on the video or on the stream. And go and check out the Facebook page as well if you haven't already. Yeah, lots and lots of really serious severe thunderstorms moving along here, and Maroochydore, like I said, now really very much in that kind of ground zero. Now it looks like that this thunderstorm is calming down just a little bit. The next update likely to drop the very dangerous tag, unless this is just kind of it breathing in and out, or the radar just not capturing the full intensity of this thunderstorm. It still looks quite strong, and I mean, we do kind of have that hook shape to it. So as this thunderstorm moves through, it could still drop some large hailstones. It's very likely still a supercell, but it looks like it could be a little bit weaker by the time it gets itself in towards Maroochydore. Still though, very dangerous system, so stay safe. But yeah, what a marathon this storm has had. It has been running for the last 4 hours plus. Yeah, lots and lots and lots of thunderstorms still blowing through across Southeast Queensland. Texas, I hope everybody is safe and inside there. South of Millmerran as well. Hope everybody is safe and inside, and I reckon Clifton in the next 20 minutes. More strong thunderstorms, like I said, just moving to the south of Clifton. Bly being hit hard. It's definitely going to cop some large hailstones, and it could even cop some giant hailstones as well, particularly to the area just to the south of Bly, so in this sort of area here that I'm circling right now. That's where the biggest hailstones are going to occur. And again, like right now, they warned at 5 centimeters, so we could be seeing hailstones right up to the 5 centimeter mark. So I will answer that question and say Bly is a good chance of getting a significant hit, but it is also looking like it may be a weakening thunderstorm, and by the time it gets there, we may not be looking at something as significant moving into the Bly area. So we will keep that in mind. Storm around Tamworth. Let's have a look, because that is a strong one. We've got a cluster of strong thunderstorms towards the southwest of Tamworth. They're moving right into the Tamworth area right now. We're into the Tamworth region, and here at Spring Ridge, have a look at this. The reflectivities that we're getting, 70 decibels, giant hailstones guaranteed in this one here, 5 centimeters plus. And if we extrapolate and have a look at where this storm has been tracking over the last kind of hour or so, it's going to bypass Tamworth, but not by much, and it could make a turn for the Tamworth area as well, especially considering as this dry line moves through, it's pushing these thunderstorms into this direction here, at least in the mid-levels. So this could move these thunderstorms into the Tamworth area quite easily. So yeah, we may be looking at a Tamworth giant hail threat eventually, possible in the next 45 minutes or so. Not overly likely, because obviously it's a small thunderstorm and Tamworth is a while away and a lot can change, but possibly we could be looking at a giant hail threat soon. Taroom, big thunderstorm as well, just towards the south. I'm sure you've heard of it by now because it's thrown out an awful amount of lightning. Have a look at all of this stuff here developing around the south of Taroom. But yeah, some large hail also, and this is a strong supercell thunderstorm outside of Taroom. Hunker down, get the cars inside and undercover. Large hailstones now going to be developing into the Taroom area, so get inside as well. And that will all develop quite significantly in the next 5 to 15 minutes through the Taroom area. So much thunderstorm activity, and it's still just getting started. Well, we are going to take a break here on the stream. I'm going to be back with the live coverage at 6 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time. That is 7 p.m. Australian Eastern Daylight Time over in New South Wales. We'll be talking about this imminent severe thunderstorm threat across Southeast Queensland. So please subscribe if you haven't already, and I will give an update once these severe thunderstorms begin to develop into the Brisbane area, which they're going to do in the next half an hour or so. And by the time we get onto air, we will be looking at a significant severe thunderstorm risk up into the Brisbane area. Maroochydore, hunker down, lots of severe thunderstorms. Yarraman, hunker down. Nanango, hunker down. Kingaroy, stay inside, and then up towards Kenilworth, Kananga, Gympie as well in the next hour or so. Gatton, still severe thunderstorms moving through there, but they're going to dive into the Lockyer Valley area. Also, some strong thunderstorms possible into the Lowood area as well. And then, as we talked about, out towards Fernvale to Beaudesert in the next 20 minutes. Make sure you do remain safe there. Significant thunderstorms also moving into the Dalby area, and of course, like we talked about, those powerful thunderstorms out around Taroom. Lots of thunderstorm activity, but it is breathing in and out, and it looks like these thunderstorms are now beginning to at least ease off just for a little bit. Take a little bit of a breather, take a little bit of a break, and that's exactly what I'm going to be doing just in the next half an hour or so, catching my breath, and I'll be back when these thunderstorms begin to pose a substantial risk into the Brisbane area. So thank you very much for all of the support on the stream. Like I said, consider leaving a like, subscribe as well, and I'll be back very shortly with the latest information on these severe thunderstorms as they move into the Brisbane area. Subscribers will get the first notification in about half an hour's time at 6 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time. But that is all from me right now, and I'll catch you all very, very shortly. Thank you.